What is up, chat? Another beautiful day out here. It's another sunny day on my side. Hope y'all are the same. We're gonna get into some GTA with the boys. Especially if homeboy gets his PC roaring. We're gonna see what happens. But till then, we're gonna click it, take it, and chill. Let's see what the fuck I missed in the world. Here we go.
Colonel Sanders is out of control.
He's
oh my
pissed.
gosh.
What do you mean?
His face.
These plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found.
Look at this face, bro. Like, holy shit.
If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found are so eminent, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it.
I didn't hear that. Privatize it. I didn't hear that. Sorry. Anyway, the gentleman on the screen, right-hand side.
No one heard that.
Colonel Sanders is crashing out.
Yo, he's red in the face.
Who is this guy? Oh my God.
Privatize it. I didn't hear that. Sorry. Anyway, the gentleman on the screen, right-hand side, is the co-chair of the Doge Caucus. His name is Aaron Bean, and he's joining me now. Congressman, are there any plans for Muster to give a full report to Congress on the wasteful spending he's uncovered?
First of all, Stuart Varney, it's great to be with you. I only hope the Academy was watching Representative Larson's performance, because if they were, I think Representative Larson might be nominated for an Academy Award for his dramatic role of just overstating
That's true. I was going to say that he wouldn't be able to get it because of now the diversity requirements, but I forgot he wasn't white. He's red. Yeah, he's red and orange.
Straight red.
Savings and the efficiencies that Elon Musk has continued to find and what Doge is doing. It's just a shame. It's almost like this. It's almost like this. Somebody breaks into your house. Elon Musk reviews the videotape, tells you who did it, and you scream, "Oh, you shouldn't have access to the videotape." And that's what the Democrats,
because they're the ones that broke into the house.
Are just doubling and tripling down on.
Yeah, because they're the ones frauding it.
Because I've watched you. You know we have a government we can't afford, and we have to wean ourselves off of this addictive government spending, and that's what we're doing right now.
If you went to the website, doge.gov, there's a complete listing of all the spending that they have found. You can read it.
It's not enough. It's incomplete. They gotta have more. They gotta have more information. And if Elon wants to, like, I mean, they can hit me up, probably anybody else, right? And you got to make videos and explain this shit to people with, like, each individual thing and then, like, break it down. Like, with, like, fucking infographics and shit. Because, like, people don't get it.
Nah.
That's the problem.
Line by line, thousands of lines. If the Democrats wanted to find out what wasteful spending he's uncovered, just go to the website. It's that simple.
That simple, Stuart Varney. It's a new level of Trump derangement syndrome. It's now Musk derangement syndrome, and anything that Trump or Musk is for, the Democrats seem to be against.
One last one for you. You say that you found $135 billion in unemployment insurance fraud. You just simplify it for us, will you?
Holy shit!
And can you get it back?
It's a great question, Stuart Varney. It's $135 billion minimum, could be more, of of insurance
Where'd it go?
fraud, unemployment insurance
That's
fraud
a fuck
during
ton
the
of money.
pandemic.
Where'd it go?
And I'll tell you who did it: fraudsters, con men, outright thieves who stole American taxpayer money. They didn't make a mistake on
Where'd
a
it go?
form. They purposely misused the system to steal from us. And so yesterday we launched, or this week, a bill to get the money back. It extends, this bill extends the statute of limitations.
It's not enough. It's not enough. You can't get the money back. You got to put them in jail. Because the thing is, people keep doing it. Everybody makes decisions on what they're going to do based off of what the risk level is. And the reality is that these people's risk level is just too low. And they're going to keep doing it because they're going to get the money taken away, but that's it.
To go after the fraudsters. The Biden administration, for whatever reason, didn't make it a priority to get our money back. But Trump and our great Secretary of Justice, Pam Bondi, will make it a priority to get our money back. So, Stuart, please help me deliver a message from the American people to these fraudsters who stole our money. We want our money back. And this bill, which is still amazing.
I don't even care about the money. I care about putting them in jail. Yeah, put them in jail. Like, you're probably not going to get the money back. Probably spent the money. You can't get the money back. Like, put them in jail.
Stuart Varney, that you would think everybody would vote for it, except 127 Democrats did not.
Aaron Bean, a pleasure having you on the show today. Come back and see us again soon. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Yes, sir.
Not everyone is a con man, Asmongold. Some people just want to make an honest living and not be bothered. I think that if you are a con man, though, this is where you're going to go. If this guy was an American citizen, I would completely support his right to do this. But he's not.
You don't know anything. No, it doesn't.
If he's so great.
People crashing out lately.
President Trump will be making an historic visit today to the Department of Justice for a speech laying out his vision for restoring law and order and ending the weaponization of the Department of Justice and our law enforcement agencies. Here's the president yesterday.
We have a great Justice Department. Pam Bondi is so fantastic. We don't want to have crime in the streets. We don't want to have people pushed into subways and killed, and then the person that did the pushing ends up in a 15-year trial and gets off scot-free. Yep. We want to have justice, and we want to have safety in our cities as well as our communities. And we'll be talking about immigration. We'll be talking about a lot of things. The complete gamut.
And joining me right now is the woman tasked with the job, the nation's U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi. AG, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Maria. It's great to be with you.
And, of course, you sat and testified under oath to the Senate Judiciary Committee, the same thing, that you would only follow the facts and the law. Tell us how you will de-weaponize the DOJ.
Well, Maria, we've been doing it since day one, and we're going to continue to do that. President Trump's mission was very clear. His directive was make America safe again. That's what we're going to do. No more weaponization. We're going to go back to fighting basic crime, getting these cartels out of our country by securing our borders, prosecuting the worst of the worst, seizing the drugs, which is what President Trump has directed us to do since the second he's been in office, and lock up the violent criminals as long as we can behind bars or seek the death penalty. And that's what we've been doing. You know, we've signed.
They're going to kill him? Holy shit.
Death warrants to seek the death penalty since he's been in office. It's not business as usual. We are going back to the basics, fighting violent crime. And taking these drugs off the street is the main component of keeping our kids safe.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, because people have been afraid to walk the streets, basically, because there's no accountability. You have to go to the drugstore and find your toothpaste locked up. Tell me how you're going to do it and what.
Yo, that's so true.
It's so bad. How many of you guys live in an area where just like anything over $7 is behind a jewel case? And there's like a key that, yes, it's so fucking
Not me,
annoying.
brother.
It's such a waste of time. I hate it.
you can tell us about the president's speech today at the DOJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he has never been to the Department of Justice.
That's amazing.
And it's right, and I can't wait for him to be there to show that he is going to make America safe, that he has been making America safe. Just since he's been in office, 2,000 kilos of fentanyl have been taken off the streets. It's crazy what he's done. 18,000 kilos of methamphetamine. These are the things that are killing our kids from coast to coast, whether it's St. Louis to 170,000 pills of fentanyl in Utah. That's one life per pill. And he has been fighting drugs, fighting the cartels, and we are going to keep America safe. And, you know, the weaponization has ended. They are trying to weaponize against Elon Musk, and we are not going to let that happen either.
See, that's the big thing, right? Is that, like, obviously drug dealers, everybody is like, yeah, for sure. But there's like this new type of like targeted political violence that people are doing. And there's like an entire ecosystem around it, because you have these people that get radicalized on the internet, and you have these groups of people on the internet that are super radical. And what they end up doing is they create a feedback loop where these people feel good about doing things that are against the law. That's really what happens a lot. They become zealots. Yeah, well, they get radicalized on the internet, and then they go out and they do something bad, and then they post photos of it in some cases, or talk about doing it, and then they get positive, you know, like reinforcement for doing it. So it creates like this feedback loop that just makes them do it way more.
Well, that's right. And we saw all the vandalism to the Tesla cars this week. President Trump will reportedly invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which allows him to fast-track deportations of criminals that are illegal migrants. ICE also arrested more than 32,000 illegal migrants in the first 50 days of the president's second term, including those 14,000 convicted of crimes. AG, I want to get your take on how you're going to do this, because you're facing pushback.
Marijuana.
Right? The sanctuary cities are saying, no. We are sanctuary. We're going to continue sanctuary. So where is the accountability for some of these sanctuary cities that are working against you?
Yeah, well, you're seeing what's happening. We're suing them. We're suing the states. They will know.
Not enough.
No.
You have to find the people that are advocating for it in the positions, and then hold them criminally responsible as accomplices or enablers for crimes. Not enough. You do that, this stops overnight. And by the way, I think that they are. I do. I agree with this. I think absolutely they are.
True, big
these
true.
Sanctuary cities, we will come in there, we will arrest you, we will
arrest the governor? Yeah, if the governor is enabling and preventing the federal government from doing their job and actively harboring illegal aliens without cooperating with the federal government, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. That's illegal. That's right.
They're harboring fugitives.
You. We will deport
Bro, that's hardcore. It's not hardcore. The problem is that it's common sense for anybody who hasn't been radicalized in the opposite direction. Obviously, when you have a apparatus that is effectively providing cover for people to commit crimes and to effectively just fuck things up, then yeah, these people should be held accountable. It's common sense. And the problem is that lawsuits and these other bullshit things, nobody has any skin in the game. So there's no, like, they're not going to care about a lawsuit. They're not going to care about some like somebody, oh, well, we're going to, like, you know, reprimand you publicly about this. Doesn't matter. You've got to actually find it and hold people accountable specifically. That's what you have to do.
Big true.
If you've committed a crime, you will go to prison in our country for as long as possible. If you're an illegal alien, we will deport you. It's that simple. That's what's been happening. Our federal government is working great now. You know, these liberal mayors, governors, we're not going to put up with it. I've warned them. If they're not listening, they will continue. We will continue to sue them. We will continue to pull their federal funding until they comply with federal law, because our job is to make America safe again. And I don't know how, Maria, they can quarrel with that.
Well, I mean, you're sending messages out that, you know, there will be accountability. And I think everyone has to agree that you want accountability for people who are, you know, trafficking drugs and humans. So that's great. But
the accountability has to happen to the people that enabled it. if you don't hold the people that enabled it accountable, it will keep happening. Because there will be a new flock of people who think that it's worth it for them to do it because they agree with it for some reason, right? They have some ideological reason. So you have to have a punishment. Basically, you have to create a system where people stop doing, like where people that are doing something wrong are not rewarded for it. And they're actively punished. Because if the punishment for something is worse than the theoretical reward, people stop doing the action. It's very simple. So all you need to do is increase the punishment and make it personal. To do what? What are you saying they're doing? I'm saying that the people that are in the sanctuary cities are enabling human trafficking, and they're enabling drugs, and they're enabling crime to happen in that country, or sorry, in that city. So what I think should happen is that if these people, like, next time one of these people is like a rapist or something like that, hold one of the government officials accountable as being an accomplice to that, knowing that that was happening and being okay with it. You do that, this immediately goes away. Bro, what? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what about state sovereignty? State sovereignty doesn't overrule federal law. That's not the way it works.
Also have seen real weaponization against President Trump, against the Republicans over the last 10 years.
That's right.
I lived it, the Russia collusion story. Will anyone be held accountable for the Russia collusion lies that the Clinton campaign and the Democrats came up with against President Trump that ripped our country apart?
Do that, it goes away immediately.
Maria, when we say we're ending the weaponization, we're ending it. People will be held accountable who weaponized our government. You know, there were a lot of pardons out there, but there were a lot of people who were not pardoned. And if you targeted someone, if you went after someone because of their political affiliation, we will be investigating you. We will be looking at you because that's the weaponization, and it has to stop. For instance, look what they're continuing to do, as I said, to Elon Musk. They are targeting Tesla dealerships, the stations where you charge a Tesla. They're vandalizing cars. I have already directed an investigation be opened to see how is this being funded, who is behind this, doing this. We have people we're locking up on that.
Find out who's funding it. And if there's people that are funding it, hold them accountable. Then it'll stop. Again, what you have to do, the problem is that all of the people that show up to burn down the Teslas, these are just retards, right? These are retards that in a lot of cases, maybe they got paid, but the odds are they got whipped up into a frenzy by Reddit and they think that they're fighting against Hitler. That's the symptom. The disease are the people that are making it happen to begin with. That's it. Well, there has been the poor officials didn't commit those crimes. They just allowed them to stay in our country for long enough for illegals to commit them. So, yeah, exactly, guys. No, you can't possibly hold the government official accountable for the negative outcomes of their policy. No, you can't. That's outrageous. No, you can't. I think you can. And I think if you do, this stops immediately.
We have someone in jail right now.
Oh, by the way, I think about corporate, like the entire idea of like the corporate veil and corporations not being held, and people that run corporations not being held personally responsible because it's a corporation. I view this the same way. Start prosecuting. Like, let's say, something happens and there's a safety risk that gets ignored because they just want to save money. Launch an investigation into that company, find out who made that decision, and then put them in jail. Done. Yep. Actually put them in jail. Like, unless you specifically go after somebody and you specifically crucify a person, not a company, not an apparatus, a person, that makes it stop. Because they're afraid of that. People are afraid of that happening. Crucify? Well, not literally crucify, okay? Not literally. Metaphorically, okay? But no one would ever sign shit if that happens. I think that they would. I think they would, absolutely. You think they're just going to all decide to go out of business? No. They'd figure out better ways to do it, and they'd be more specific. You think they're going to say, yeah, let's just stop making money and stop selling to the biggest economy in the world? No, I don't think so.
The dealerships,
Yeah, right.
they threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison. So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Well,
if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to
Thank
find out
God.
who you are.
Thank fucking God.
I mean, in terms of the
I've been
Russia
waiting on this
collusion
for a
story, is
while.
there any work on that? Are you going to try to find out who, in fact, pushed this lie that Trump colluded back in 2017?
Maria, we have teams of lawyers working nonstop on every issue you can imagine to end the weaponization. And what you're saying, that will put an end to the weaponization, all the lies, everything that's happened. It's over. It's a new day. We also want to move forward and fight violent crime.
Of course. And you also recently formed an internal DOJ team to work with DOJ on the cost-cutting measures. What can you tell us? Because they're going to dig into the nation's top law enforcement divisions, reviewing their internal budget reviews to find savings, right?
Yeah, the massive amounts of money that have been wasted. Truly, we know. I don't think any of us, Elon, couldn't even dream how big the massive amounts of money were that's been taken from your tax dollars, from my tax dollars,
I think a lot of people
and just squandered away to foreign countries all over the world, the USA, the EPA, and they're fighting us on that. They're trying to force us to pay this money out. We're not going to do it. We have teams of lawyers fighting to protect our tax dollars, and we're going to continue to do that. Of course, we're going to lose in these liberal district courts, but we will win in the Supreme Court. We will prevail. Donald Trump will control the budget. These agencies will control where their money goes. You know, it was a setup from the beginning by all of these liberal agencies that when we came in here, all this money would still be flowing out. But they were caught. Now they've been exposed.
Yeah, somebody says, I feel bad for people that just got a Tesla last year. Now he has to look over a soldier for lunatics. I think that, I mean, the amount of damage that people like, I don't think that Teslas are probably getting destroyed in mass. You know, like realistically, I don't think it's really happening. But I'm sure it's just like if it happens, people talk about it a lot. So it's I think they're not. No, I mean, because there's just a lot of cars out there, right? And yeah, they're vandalized daily. Yeah, but what I'm saying is like if they're like there's a 99% chance that if you have a Tesla, nobody's going to vandalize your Tesla, right? Realistically. Even if it happens every day, there's probably millions of Teslas or hundreds of thousands of Teslas in the country, right? Now, I'm just being like honest about it, right? This is probably a very, very minority thing, but that doesn't make it okay. I'm just saying it's not like cars are stolen every day. Yeah, cars are stolen every day. They're targeted. I think they are too, and it doesn't make it any better, but I'm just saying that, like, don't let media alarmism make you think that you have to be worried about this personally. Like, yeah, maybe, like, you know, keep the camera on, make sure you have the camera like that on. But otherwise, you don't have to be, like, hyper fucking vigilant about this and freak out about it. And I'm just being reasonable, right? It's not as big as it is. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
And we will find all of them and all of our great agencies who work so well together will protect Americans and Americans' tax dollars. Thanks to the hard work of Elon and Doge.
And you also want the public to trust the FBI. I mean, this is our leading law enforcement agency. We need everybody to trust the FBI. And I'd like to see some accountability. Can you take us from a 30,000 feet look at what happened here? How did it become so political, AJ?
You know, Maria, that in my wildest dreams, I never realized how bad it was. But now that we have Kash Patel in there, and I'll tell you, in the Justice Department directly, it was totally weaponized. All the Jack Smith prosecutors are gone. All these agents at the FBI who are weaponizing government are gone. And that's where we're able to find the good men and women who want to be out there, who want to be fighting violence.
By the way, like, my faith in her doing this is, like, not really super high because she didn't get the Epstein files. Like, I do want to bring that up, is that, like, she said that she was going to release the Epstein files, and then that didn't happen.
I know, right?
So let her cook? No, I get that, right? But, like, if you tell me something's going to happen, then it doesn't happen, that lowers the probability that I'm going to believe you the next time that you say something is going to happen.
True.
That's just me. Right? I don't know what to say.
crime, who want to be keeping America safe, who want to be fighting terrorism. You know, last week, Director Radcliffe, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard, and I, we got to be at Dulles Airport in the middle of the night and greet a plane coming in from Pakistan with one of the worst terrorists in the world on the plane. And we got to thank the great men and women of the FBI. And that's what people don't see. The ones who are out there, they had spent a week in Pakistan getting this guy out of there. These people are second to none. Those are the real agents, and that's what we want to do, restore
of course that makes
their
sense.
integrity, restore the integrity of the Department of Justice, and show all the great things that at the direction of Donald Trump, we're going to do for the next 4 years to keep America safe and make America safe again.
AJ, on the sanctuary cities thing, I know you've got all of these lawsuits out for people who are obstructing justice, obstructing your efforts. Are you saying that by the end of this 4 years, there will be no more sanctuary cities?
No way. Okay. No way.
Wow.
No more sanctuary cities. I wouldn't even say 4 years. I'd say give it to the end of the year. Sanctuary cities are over. There are no more.
I mean, I believe it when I see it, as I said with the Epstein files. Like, I agree with this. I hope this is true. But I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. That's the way I see it.
True.
Yeah, that's a bold statement. That's a whole lot.
Big true.
Sanctuary cities as far as the federal government's concerned. What a sanctuary city means is they are harboring criminals.
Me the money.
They are harboring illegal aliens. And if you're tipping someone off when there is going to be an ICE raid, DHS raid, we will find you and we will prosecute you. That jeopardizes the life.
You can't go and prosecute them a little bit. You have to put them in jail for like 20 years, publicize the trial, put them on blast, make everybody know about it. Like, that is the way you stop this shit from happening. That is the way you do it. Because you do that, and this shit goes away instantaneously. It does. For 20 years? Let's see. If somebody tips off a group of illegal immigrants for a raid, should they go to jail for 20 years? Yeah, I'd support that. Yep. Because if you do that, you could put the agents that could come and do those arrests at risk, because now, because the the people that are there know that they're coming, they could leave bombs there, they could leave other types of biological weapons there, they could be ready for them and shoot them. There could be anything like that, and so I think the problem, it's kind of like with swatting, for example. So that never happened. Yeah, okay. So I think that a good parallel to this is swatting. So most swattings don't result in somebody getting killed. But I think a person who's doing it should be prosecuted as if they were. Because the goal is to hurt somebody. And it's risk management, exactly, yes. And so that's really it. Not many. Some do. Yes, it happens. And it happens. And I'm sure ICE agents have been attacked and shot by illegal migrants as well. I'm sure it's happened. It's rare, but it happens. The point is that swatting is attempted murder. Well, what I'm saying is that it is attempted murder by second or third degree, right? Like, not legally, but just by a second or third, like, level of removal. And what I'm saying is that this isn't really that much different to me. Because what you're effectively doing is you're priming a group of people that are, by definition, categorically criminals, and oftentimes are doing criminal activities on top of that. You're priming them to be aware.
Man,
that
I
the
agree with this
100%. And try to hold them accountable. So yeah, I mean, it's not even a question. It's mailing a bomb.
Men and women in law enforcement, not going to happen anymore. It's a new day, and we're coming after you.
Yeah.
That is incredible, AJ. All right, let me get your take on something else, which a lot of people were emailing me about and talking to me about when they heard that you were coming on the show. The MAGA group is mad that they don't know more about the Epstein files.
True.
The MAGA group is mad that they don't know more about the January 6th investigation. Are you going to give us any more information on these two issues?
Sure. And first to the Epstein.
Sure.
I'm mad that I didn't have more information on Epstein. I was given 200 pages of documents. I've asked Director Patel. He came in after that, of course. I had asked for those documents prior to Kash coming in. Kash is going to get me all the information. I've asked him to find out why I didn't receive all those documents and he didn't receive all those documents.
Not enough. If the people are not doing it, you hold them with obstruction of justice. All of this roach behavior stops instantaneously the moment that people are held individually accountable on a criminal level. You do that, this stuff
They're
evaporates.
obstructing justice,
Instantly
basically.
it goes away. They won't? Yeah, because they're pussies. That's the reason why. And I guarantee you, like, if you did this, it would go away. Make an example out of someone? Yes, exactly. Which begs the question, why won't they? I think that a lot of people, and this is something that people like this, they have a degree, they want to be nice about it. They want to be reasonable about it. But I think being reasonable about it towards people like this that are actively trying to, like, obstruct you, this is basically just enabling them to do it later on.
Now found out, of course, that they were in New York. We've received truckload of documents of evidence, and Kash is going to give me a deadline on when he can go through that to protect, of course, the victims of sex trafficking who are wrapped into this. And he's going to give me a deadline on when he can get this, and we will get out as much as we can, as fast as we can, to the American people, because they deserve to know. Same with January 6th. We're all working on JFK right now. We will be working on Martin Luther King. All of these things that the president promised, we will be doing. They can try to hide documents from us, but they can't. It might take a little longer. We will find them, and we will release them to the American people, because it's transparency.
I mean, we want to know if there was criminality during the during COVID and January 6th. I mean, on January 6th, there was speculation that they destroyed documents. Did they destroy documents? The January 6th Commission?
Maria, we are looking into all of that. Nothing is off the table.
And in terms of COVID and all of the thousands of people working with social media to try to censor Americans' information during the COVID era?
Yeah, everything's being looked at. Everything is on the table. Maria, again, it was the ultimate weaponization, what they did, things that were hidden from the American people. But it's a new day. Donald Trump is the most transparent president in our nation's history. We are all acting at his directive, and America will be transparent again as well.
Well, we love it. AG will be watching for this conference later when the president comes to the DOJ. We so appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, America's Attorney General Pam Bondi.
I will believe it when I see it.
Right.
I'll believe it when I see it. And until I see it, I'm not going to believe it.
So I feel.
Oh, no. No, they're not popping off again. Members of the Revolutionary Communist Group and the other far-left extremists are gathered outside Columbia University. Okay, here we go. Let me just move in. Nobody's really breaking a law here, right? It's just a protest. It's not really, I don't think it's really a big deal.
Free
Yeah.
Free Palestine.
Yeah, they got the cops right there.
Yeah, I don't agree with them, but like there's no destruction of property. They're, you know, complying with the police. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with people that want to protest this and get mad about it, but you know, just don't destroy property and break out windows. Like, I think that a lot of people don't really realize how bad it was last year. Like these people, like these were people that were, this is a ISIS arrested. These are people, this is a protester, that this is a vandalizer terrorist, right? I mean, what's going on with this? Look at this.
Jeez.
Yeah. Worse than a BLM looting? I don't know. I think they're both bad. Like, I don't really have an opinion about, like, which one's worse. Like, I don't think there's really a point of discussing which one's worse. I think they're both bad. So, yeah. Why is it always university kids that are stupid with these protests? They support terrorism, and then the next generation are doomed? No, because they usually get older and realize that they were stupid and then start voting in a more reasonable way. I think that it's mainly young people that are very privileged that want to have a cause to fight for, because they think about people that grew up, you know, in like previous ages. Like, you know, you have like the civil rights era, and these people were protesting for that. And then you had, you know, obviously like, you know, what was it? Like any sort of like slavery stuff or any sort of racism. And I think there's one other thing that happened with that as well. So I think that's really what happens the majority of the time, right? Ultra left-wing teachers, they LARP as activists. Yeah, they're LARPing as activists. Most of these people don't really care. And they think they're going to get away with it.
They don't really
but
care.
Either way, yeah,
that's
so
why they're looting.
Revoking a bunch of people. Colombia has reportedly just expelled the president of the Grad Student Union for his arrests and the encampment and building takeover last spring. Columbia University has announced expulsions, multi-year suspensions, and degree revocations over the violent takeover of Hamilton Hall last spring. This is what happens when the federal government finally holds the universities accountable. Now, I think this is a huge W. I have no problem with peaceful protests, but you don't peacefully protest with a hammer. You don't. That's not how it works. And so if you bring a hammer to the peaceful protest, you have just disqualified yourself from peaceful protesting. Were the police, by the way? Well, they were trying to get into the building, right? And so, yeah, it's that simple. And what did Trump do? Pardon his terrorist? Two-faced? Yeah, I guess so, right? People always like bringing up January 6th as if this wasn't bad. So anyway, it looks like university statement. So this is what Columbia said themselves. Today, Columbia University Judicial Board, this is probably the other reason why they're protesting. The Columbia University Judicial Board determined that findings and issued sanctions to students ranging from multi-year suspensions, temporary degree revocations, and expulsions related to the occupation of Hamilton Hall last spring. With respect to other events taking place last spring, the UJB's determinations recognized previously imposed disciplinary action. The return of suspended students will be overseen by Columbia University Life Office. Columbia is committed to enforcing university rules and policies and maintaining our disciplinary procedures, probably, right? This should come as a surprise to literally no one. Really, this should be a surprise to no one. This place was violently taken over by activists that were, again, these people, they're protesting with hammers and breaking out windows. I'm sorry, but like, I have no problem with them getting around. This is, I think this is from like last year or something, right? There's something else. But I have no problem with any of these people like sitting around and protesting and doing it lawfully, right? Sitting outside, talking about it, gathering there. But this right here, this is just destruction of property. Yeah, these are hammers of peace. I don't think so, man. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're hammers of peace, guys. Man. I don't think so at all. Yeah, broken windows of empathy. I guess so. Self-deportation. So yeah, they destroyed tons of property. They were inside of the buildings. They weren't complying with police officers. And ultimately, you know, Columbia University is not their own personal playground. It's not their place to tell people that we're going to break into this building and not allow you to come into it, just as a very, very baseline, simple perspective. And you think about probably collectively the millions of dollars this costs the university to repair all of this stuff, to clean up all the damage, to to process police reports and talk to the police, the energy that takes and time that takes. You have all of that, and then you also have like painting over the graffiti. There's millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then also you have some people that don't want to go to Columbia now. The university is now dangerous, right? You have dangerous people that have taken it over. I think that's a big thing. Also losing donations from big Jewish donators. Well, yeah, I mean, like, and I think it's really not that surprising. I mean, if you're a Jewish person, and the problem is that a lot of these people, and they've done literally no favors to themselves with this topic at all. These people have done no diligence, and they have taken no effort whatsoever to distinguish themselves from anti-Semitic terrorists. So big surprise that, you know, Jewish people might not necessarily want to support a group or a university that is actively allowing people to advocate for what they believe to be their eradication. Big surprise. If I was them, I wouldn't give them any fucking money either. Like, I put myself in their shoes. Yeah. WTech, yeah. Why the fuck would you give these people a bunch of money if they're letting these clowns take over the university, and some of these clowns are supporting an organization that wants to destroy you and wants to kill you and says, like, oh, all Jews are bad, a curse upon the Jews. If I see that and I'm a fucking Jew, I'm going to be offended. I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't want a curse on me. I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting here. What the fuck? Based, yeah, it's common sense. How do we get here? It's nuts. It is. It's so fucking obvious. So yes, I'm really, really glad to see this happening. This is a massive W. Yeah.
I blame Columbia for tolerating this.
Yeah.
The administration and the faculty at Columbia, they're a bunch of virtuecrats and moral snobs. They believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass the Jewish people. And the American people have given Columbia hundreds of millions of dollars. We just wait.
They did the same thing with Jewish people that people did with Asians in COVID. You remember all those videos of these like dumb racist people harassing Asians? It's like, just because you're a Jew doesn't mean you're a Zionist. I mean, it doesn't mean like you're an Israel fucking operative. It's crazy. Like, and it's Chinese people too. They're like, oh, it's from China. Like, I remember there were people that were conspiracy theorying about when that Chinese girl Kaisi came, and she was in Austin. I was hanging out with her, and they thought that she was like a CCP agent or something like that. They were like, well, yeah. So is it true that the CCP is sending in pretty young Chinese girls in order to compromise our American streamers and American influencers? And like, they had like all these examples of it, of like guys dating Asian girls. Basically, half of the Asian girls, by the way, weren't even Chinese, but it doesn't matter. Like, yeah. And I was thinking to myself, please let this be true. Please, please, please. I love China. Yes. Okay, guys. Yeah, it's what they want you to think. That's what I want to believe. It's not what I want to think. Yeah. Yeah, I hope so, right? Please compromise me. And so anyway, this happened, and it's just another, in my opinion, it's another flavor of that. It's another flavor of, xenophobic generalizing on people that aren't even, like, a lot of these people, like, these are people like, oh yeah, I'm Chinese. Yeah, I went there 2 times for like a week to visit my family. Okay, yeah, but the rest of the time you're in America? Yeah, you're mainly American. Let's be honest. And so anyway, but like, yeah, it's totally fucking different. Yep, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Wasted it. We've been better off taking that money and spending it on scratch tickets and blackjack.
Yeah.
And this insanity has got to stop. And I'm proud of the president, and I'm proud of Secretary Rubio for saying we've had enough.
Yeah, bro, these people are wilding out, man. They really are, and they're violent. That's the problem, is that they're violent. And that's really what the issue is. And over half of Columbia University's enrollment is now foreign students.
Over half of Columbia's enrollment is foreign students, and they're the ones, of course, who pay full tuition. Yeah. And so of the general studies student population. And that raises 2 questions. One, why is the American taxpayer, the Free Press reported that, $400 million in federal grants have been yanked. Why are American taxpayers paying to educate people who aren't Americans? And 2, it raises this question about immigration and which way the cultural exchange is going.
You know, some Americans that need that
2 days ago, I do believe, right? This
fucking
is Wednesday.
money. What the
So
hell?
on Monday, Harvard froze hiring.
Damn.
What do you make of that? How do you read that?
It's interesting because a lot of these federal grants go to the hard sciences. So the professors who are supporting the protesters, supporting, BDS resolutions, saying, screw it to the administration, they're not the ones who are going to get pinched by the fact that Trump is pulling grant funding. So you're going to see a civil war within the universities of the serious researchers saying, hey, we just want to do our research. We don't want to get, in this you know, fight with the administration over this versus the ones who say, no, this is the hill we're going to die on.
Okay. Well, they're going to die on it then. I'll tell you that. I mean, this kind
I guess
of crazy
they have
fucking
to.
political shit, especially like supporting terrorist shit. Yeah, that's fine. And oh my fucking God, taxpayer grants the universities with $1 billion endowments. Yeah, exactly. Well, why are we paying? And that's a good question, right? Why are we paying a bunch of money to educate people that aren't even from our country when people here can't even afford it, right? I think that's definitely true. Demanding Palestinian Columbia University Mahmoud Kamil end to U.S. funds to Israel. Why are they? What I don't understand is that why are they protesting at the college? Shouldn't they protest at like a government building? Because the government are the ones that took this guy. Columbia University doesn't have anything to do with this. Yeah, I mean, like,
well, they don't have cars.
Right?
What do you mean?
Go to like apparently the guy's being held in Louisiana or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. That would be inconvenient. I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And man, let's see if there's any more of this. Cops are all over the place. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there is more of this actually. NYPD officers. Oh shit. Let me see if I can find this here. I already looked at this too. And this is an hour ago as well. Yeah, I think this is a lot of this is the same shit I saw before. Peaceful so far? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so far I totally support this. I mean, I disagree with it, but I support it. Does that make sense? Yeah, this is fine. Nothing wrong here. Yeah, it'll turn violent. Well, when it does, then I'll stop supporting it. But I don't think it's fair to, while a student walkout was expected inside Columbia University, according to protest flyers, the campus appears to be quiet. So nobody walked out of the class. Yeah, big surprise. I mean, the thing is that the people that do this are, in a lot of cases, like some of these people have been like extremely violent and like aggressive and like hostile. And most people just want to go to school and deal with this and just not have to think about it, right? Like, yeah, they gotta go to class, right? I mean, what the hell is this? So you have people that are being violent and doing this stuff. That's it. Don't support, tolerate. Well, I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but I think that that's my point. So yeah, it looks like the student walkout. Well, they're walking out. Well, there is a walkout. They're walking out from one class probably to another class. So I mean, yeah, it makes sense, right? Sure is a lot of walking. Yeah, I guess that's what's happening. There's a lot of reports that find out a bunch of the student protesters weren't even students. Well, I could have told you that. Easily, I could have told you that. Because the reason, and here's the reason why. It's because the student protesters, like, for example, I remember there were interviews with some of these protesters, and they asked, like, you know, what do you think about these topics? And these people didn't know anything about them at all. So that's really what it is. Yeah, they had no idea what the hell they were talking about to begin with, and they're just sitting up there starting trouble, being mad, because that's what they like to do. That's really the reason. That's mainly it. Yeah, it's actually that simple. Shocker. Yeah, I know, man. Y'all didn't even go to college? Shut the fuck up. I mean, I don't think you need to go to college to have an opinion on this, right? I mean, do you? And so this is the police here?
That's so true.
So they're ready. They raid prep for this. Which, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because they had to deal with this shit last year. Yeah. Yeah, big surprise. Yeah, they already dealt with this last year. They're not letting this thing happen again. Absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, they're getting ahead of it. Yeah, it's smart. No, let me see if I can find another one. I've got no problem with people protesting and like doing it legally, but you have like people that are violent or anything like that. You know, if this, because the thing is, like, there's a chance that at like, you know, 9 p.m. tonight or like, you know, 11 p.m. tonight, you could have these people turn up and start trouble. But right now, it seems like that's not happening. But yeah, Columbia is kicking a lot of the people out that started the trouble, and I think that's a great thing. It really is.
It's a good
And,
start. Tell you
I'm
that.
really glad finally we're starting to see, because like I saw a tweet that I agreed with, and this is the thing. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Conservative reporters are getting murdered in the streets. Journalists are getting swatted. Figures are getting death threats, assassination threats. DOJ needs to do something about the extreme uptick in domestic leftist terrorism. I think this is true. And there's been a lot of like straight up fucking terrorism. And you got to stop these people and hold them accountable. Libs of TikTok. Well, I understand it's a biased source, but I agree with what they're saying here. I do. And I think that, especially like the burning down Teslas and shit like that, that's crazy. Like, who does that? Really? Who the fuck does that?
I
That's
know,
crazy.
dude. You gotta be fucking nuts.
If you are Eastern Asian, living outside of your country or just visiting, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. That's just true as fuck, though.
So if
Here
I
we
say, like, what's at
go,
the heart
dude.
of the sort of
What?
like, why is the Democrat
Why?
propaganda machine so fired up to destroy me? That's the main reason. The main reason is that entitlements fraud. That includes like Social Security, disability, Medicaid. Entitlements fraud for illegal aliens is what is serving as a gigantic magnetic force to pull people in from all around the world and keep them here. Like basically, if you pay people at a standard of living that is above 90% of Earth, then you have a very powerful incentive for 90% of Earth to come here and to stay here. But if you end the illegal alien fraud, then you turn off that magnet.
Yeah,
and they leave.
I mean,
and they
I can't
stop
argue
coming,
with
and
that.
the ones that are here, many of them will simply leave.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, we're giving them a bunch of money and we're giving them jobs under the table. Fucking duh. Find me the, look at the behavior, find the incentive, change the incentive, change the behavior. Wow, what a surprise. I can't believe it. It's like, here's an example. Like in WoW, everybody does ICC to get invincible. There's if they took invincible out of that raid, everybody stopped doing the raid. Because they do it because it drops the mount. They take the mount out, people stop doing it. It's common sense. It's fucking common sense.
And if that happens,
everything referenced to WoW,
they will lose a massive number of Democratic voters.
And if it didn't happen, they would turn those people into voters.
Correct.
Which they were trying to do.
They're already turning them. So in New York State, illegal aliens can already vote in state and city elections.
I don't know about that.
A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
I mean, they're trying to fight that, they're trying to stop that, but they're currently, I think it's like 600,000 are registered to vote, illegal aliens, in New York.
Sounds like bullshit. We're going to look it up. Okay, so it seems like that's not really going on. Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, that's crazy. Right? I mean, I don't think so.
No, they're doing it legally.
They could vote in New York because you aren't allowed to show your ID. Like, you have to show something, though, right? I mean, you can't just say, like, I'm here. Like, so how does it work? So, like, let me get this straight. So, in New York, you just go up to a ballot box and you just vote. There's like no checks for this shit at all?
Hmm.
You need to register. Okay, so you have to be registered to vote then. No, you don't? What? You have to be registered to vote in New York. Yes. You have to be a U.S. citizen. Registration is mandatory. But how do they check? So, wait a minute. How do they... I don't understand this. How do they check? Period. How do they verify? You missed a paragraph in the first response? No, I don't see this. The last paragraph? There's no evidence. Imprisonment only affect illegal non-citizens. Is it firm? No. Well, they register a fake name, a driver's license, your name on the list. Last paragraph of the second answer. So yes, registration is mandatory. No registration, no vote. Simple as that. Verification, New York doesn't require voter ID at the polls for most registered voters. Just your signature was just checked against your registration record.
There you go.
So then they do have voter ID. But it's just not asked for while you're there. It's just indirect. You can fake a signature. But in order to fake a signature, you'd have to be committing identity theft.
Yeah.
And if you're committing identity theft, then you could just vote no matter what. That's a felony. Well, what I'm saying is like, so that's no different than like here, for example. You can fake IDs too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So like you can fake a signature, you can fake an ID. I feel like you can make this shit up no matter what. Read the first bullet point.
How are they gonna know?
New York State Constitution specifies that every citizen is entitled to vote. This has been interpreted to exclude non-citizens, including undocumented immigrants, from voting. Federal law also prevents non-citizens from voting in federal election in New York. No, we're not seeing this. I don't know. Like, all right, I'm not sure about this.
That is wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at, say, FEMA, like the agency that was paying for illegal aliens to stay at luxury hotels in New York was FEMA.
Oh,
that's meant that's an agency that's meant to support Americans in distress from natural disasters, was paying for luxury hotels for illegals in New York.
It's true. Yeah.
That's a fact.
Fact.
They're literally, like, when we stopped that payment.
This did happen?
We stopped all those monies, because that's obviously an insane way to spend taxpayer money.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's fucked up.
New York sued the federal government to get the money. Mm-hmm. So you could just look at their lawsuit. They were sending that money even after President Trump signed an executive order saying it needs to stop. They still press send on $80 million to luxury hotels in New York. Your tax.
So they did the thing, even though the president said not to do the thing. I mean, like, can't you charge them for that or something? Like, I mean, like, there's got to be something you got to do about this. Here's the thing, right? Is like, you got these people roaching out again. They weren't even luxury hotels. It was worse. They were regular hotels charging the city luxury prices.
Ooh.
Oh, bro, no. It said it didn't. Here's what actually happened. Reimbursed FEMA through its shelter and services program, reimbursed New York City for costs related to housing migrants. They received about $80 million.
Fuck.
The hotels weren't luxury either. Found that the city paid an average of $156 a night. That's luxury. What the fuck? That's cheap for New York? Yeah, I'd say that's cheap. FEMA did pay to house migrants, but not in luxury hotels and not with disaster relief money.
Then what money did they use?
I still want my money back? Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I do too. Like, I don't want to spend any money on this shit either, but still. Why aren't they paying $150 a night for me? That's a fact.
Right?
That's a fact. You're paying $150 a night for some random fucking migrant and not a citizen. That's a fucking fact. Absolutely. Now you're asking the important questions.
Money went to pay for illegal aliens in luxury hotels in New York from an agency that is meant to help Americans in distress from natural disasters.
Right, and I would like to know how much. And I would like to know how much they spent on North Carolina and how much they spent on Maui.
Yes, exactly. What's actually happening is they're buying voters. That's really what's happening. It's like a giant voter fraud scam.
See, like, I think he's right. It's just that it's not right. He's not right in this specific way. Like, I think that, like, the effect is the same.
They're importing voters, and it's really just a matter of time. So, like, if a lot of people have
so what
trouble.
I'm saying is, like, so what I mean by that is that they're importing voters two ways, right? Number one is that they import them, and then the people have kids here, and then the kids vote, right? Because they're citizens, and then the kids have a degree of, you know, like, on average, probably a degree of generosity towards the people that allowed their family to stay here. It's a long-term perspective. So, like, and also, isn't the amount of congressional seats that you get based off of your overall population as well? I think that there's that as well. Yes. And so, like, you do have this happening. I just think that he's not using a good argument for it. That's all.
Well, believing this.
So
but
that's what I meant to say.
The more you look at it, the more you will realize just how much of a problem this is, and how it's not just real. It is. It is an attempt to destroy democracy in America. That's what, in my view, it is what it really is. Like, if you take the sort of 7 swing states, like, often the margin of victory there is like maybe 20,000 votes.
It's not that many.
If you put 200,000 illegals in there, and they have.
By the way, this is the reason why you don't want Canada to join America, is because there's a bunch of fucking liberals up there. They're gonna vote for this bullshit every time. Yeah, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
80% likelihood of voting Dem. And it's only a matter of time before they become citizens. Then those swing states will not be swing states in the future. And if they are not swing states, we'll be a permanent one-party state country.
Uh-oh.
Permanent deep blue socialist state. That's what America will become.
And that was the game plan.
That was the game plan. That is still the game plan.
And so
they almost succeeded. If the machine of which the Kamala puppet was the representation had won, that's what would have happened. The reason I went so hardcore for Trump was because, to me, this was a fork in the road, a very obvious fork in the road. If they had another 4 years, they would legalize enough illegals in the swing states to make the swing states not swing states. They would be blue states.
I mean, like, if I was them, that's what I would try to do. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, like, because if I was trying to win the election, that's what I would do.
Then they would win the presidential. They'd win the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They would then make district, D.C. into a state. Maybe Puerto Rico, get 4 extra senators, pack the Supreme Court. So then you'll have the House, Judiciary, Senate, and presidency, all blue. And then they will keep importing more illegals.
Yeah, because then nobody can stop them.
That outcome.
Exactly.
Basically what happened in California.
I bet he's going to say wow. I bet Joe's going to say wow.
Jesus Christ.
It would.
Okay, all right. I got it wrong.
Would have been the end. That's why I went so hardcore for Trump. It was otherwise been the end, and that's why the Democrat machine is so intent on destroying me.
It's just so fascinating that people can't see this.
I mean, I invite people to do their research. The more they do their research, the more they will see that what I'm saying is.
I mean, but I don't know.
It's absolutely true.
I don't know, man. Like, I feel like the whole thing about them living in that, I feel like that's not really. I mean, unless maybe this is wrong. I mean, you could say it's wrong for sure, but like, it's just really it's hard to know. Everybody always lying, man. Yeah, you searching up 2 Grok prompts is research. I mean, like, what do you want me to do? You want me to read a Wikipedia? Do you want me to read a page of this on CNN? You think CNN's going to give it a better shake? You think MSNBC? You think a news story about this that's like owned by another fucking billionaire is they're gonna be the ones that are gonna tell you what the reality is?
Right.
Yeah. No, definitely, for sure, guys, for sure. And yeah, sources right there. Click them. Yeah, and you also have the sources. Like, you just look at it right here. Yeah, and so like Daily Mail, fire chief putting illegal migrants, 5-star hotel, reveals. So like this is a person, she's seeking compensation. Musk misleads on FEMA migrant-related payments. Factcheck.org, Snopes, and also like, I mean, Politico, fucking Snopes, like Daily Mail. Like, am I really gonna listen to these people and say, oh yeah, this is true? No, not really. But yeah, my goal is just to know what happened. That's really, am I crazy? I feel like there's so much of a desire to just know what the fuck happened.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Now you can never know what the fuck happens with anything. Because everybody making up a bunch of bullshit about everything. Yeah, nice sources. Yeah, and so like that's really the point that I'm getting at, right? It's insane, and I just don't understand it at all. And it's very frustrating for me to see this happen. It is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Careful.
Coming back.
Towards me.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Pam, very much. What a job you're doing. And it's a true honor to be
Speech that
with
just
you
came
today.
out.
This is a storied hall, if there ever was one. And based on the crowd, I think we broke the all-time record. But as we begin a proud new chapter in the chronicles of American justice, this really is something. We're turning the page on 4 long years of corruption, weaponization, and surrender to violent criminals, and we're restoring fair, equal, and impartial justice.
Another record,
the constitutional rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the people that are doing it. I'm very, very proud of all of you. Under the Trump administration, the DOJ and the FBI will once again become the premier crime-fighting agencies on the face of the earth. People ask me, what am I going to do about law enforcement all the time? The fake news back there.
That's me. I asked that.
What am I going to do?
I'm fake news.
And when are you going to do it? And I answer them by saying I've already done most of it by appointing the people that I've appointed. They're sitting right here. They've done most of it. I don't do it. They do it. Right, Pam? I think. Oh, you are so tough. They just don't know yet. Let me begin by congratulating the incredible people who will lead these historic reforms.
Oh, no.
And we start with somebody that you just saw, Pam Bondi. She's extraordinary, and I've known her very well for a long time. I watched her for a long time in Florida, for years in Florida, and highly experienced. She seems so young, but she's highly experienced, that I can tell you. She was a phenomenal attorney general in Florida, and she's going to do a really amazing job. Also, our new director of the FBI, Kash Patel. Kash.
Oh, boy. Yep.
He's a good one.
Release the Epstein list? Yeah. Where's the list?
A man that I'm very proud of. I've known him and Emil for a long time under tremendous pressure. I saw these guys under some of the most corrupt judges it's not even imaginable how corrupt they were.
Man.
And these guys never wilted. They were not shy. They fought. They weren't afraid, and they were brilliant. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and Principal Associate Deputy Attorney Emil Beauvais. And thank you both very much. Right. Great people. They're great people. The Chief of Staff, who's so highly respected, Chad Mizell. Thank you, Chad. Chad. Thank you, Chad. Our next administrator of the DEA, Terry Cole.
Oh.
Terry. Thank you, Terry.
They probably burned and shredded the good stuff. We'll figure out who burned and
Senior
shredded
counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Boy, I've been watching him on television.
Yeah, it's easy.
Last couple of weeks. He is really a tough one, and he's a great one. Leo Terrell, you watch how good he's going to be. He's going to be so
it's just a big circle jerk?
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah.
Great guy. Assistant Attorney General of the Antitrust Division, who's got an incredible reputation. She'll do very, very well. Gail Slater. Thank you, Gail. Good luck. Great job. And we're joined by many, many great friends and terrific friends, and I won't be able to, too many to name, but some that I just see very quickly. General Flynn, thank you for being here. He's a man who went through hell, by the way, and he shouldn't have.
Yeah, I remember him.
He's a patriot. He went through hell.
I thought he was going to go to jail.
We're also pleased to be joined by Senator Chuck Grassley and House Majority Whip. Hi, where's Chuck? Hi, Chuck. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer.
Someone turn on the teleprompter.
Good job you're doing.
No, it's okay. He's just naming out names.
Representative Guy Reschenthaler. One of the toughest names to say, but I got it perfectly, I think. And State Attorney General Ken Paxton, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Somebody who was with us.
We got a lot of names out here.
Early on, and she's really become a big star and very popular, Brenna Bird. Thank you, Brenna. Thank you very much. Steve Marshall, Alan Wilson,
got short end of stick?
James
Yeah, he did.
Othermeyer,
Remember when he did that?
Chris Carr, Dave Sunday,
Remember when he did that
Marty
rally for Trump at
Jackley,
a gas station?
White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. What a man Stephen is. Become a big star.
You remember
Right,
that?
Emil? Steve Miller. Steve has been something very special.
That was so funny.
For generations, the Federal Department of Justice was one of America's most revered institutions. The men and women of the DOJ brought down the mafia, hunted down the killers, kingpins, and spies, tracked down terrorists and traitors, and tore down corrupt political machines all across America. This department commanded the respect and admiration of the entire world. And with Pam and Kash and all of the people I introduced and far more, big numbers, and all of you sitting back there. I recognize so many of you.
Oh, it's such a good
But
day.
with you leading the way, it'll soon be the most admired and most respected of all. You're going to be more respected, and I really believe that there's also a lot of things to solve, a lot of problems to solve. But that's going to put you in the upper tier and maybe the top tier, and I believe that's going to happen. I'm so proud of the people in this room. But first, we must be honest about the lies and abuses that have occurred within these walls.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, in recent years, a corrupt group of hacks and radicals within the ranks of the American government obliterated the trust and goodwill built up over generations. They weaponized the vast powers
I think
of
this
our
is true.
intelligence
I think
and
they
law
did make Trump a
enforcement
martyr by going
agencies
after
to
him
try
that
and
hard.
thwart the will of the American people. You remember the 51 intelligence agents that said, as an example, that Hunter Biden's laptop from hell came from Russia when they knew it came right from his bedroom. They knew that. It was a big lie, and they knew it so well. They spied on my campaign, launched one hoax and disinformation operation after another, broke the law on a colossal scale, persecuted my family, staff, and supporters.
Family?
Raided my home, Mar-a-Lago, and did everything within their power to prevent me from becoming the president of the United States.
It's crazy if this guy didn't
With the
become
help of
president, he'd probably be in jail.
radicals like
Isn't
Mark
that nuts?
Elias, Mark Pomerantz, and these are people that nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's so many others, but these are people that are bad people.
It's like you either become president or you go to jail.
People. They tried to turn America into a corrupt, communist, and third world country. But in the end, the thugs failed and the truth won. Freedom won, justice won, democracy won, and above all, the American people won. There could be no more heinous betrayal of American values than to use the law to terrorize the innocent and reward the wicked. And that's what they were doing at a level that's never been seen before.
Now he's reading the
And
speech.
it's exactly what you saw with Joe Biden.
Now he's not
Merrick
reading
Garland
the speech.
and their cronies
Okay.
to do the building of the last 4 years. They ripped what they've ripped down is
Now, yeah, this is
incalculable. But what you're going to build up is likewise something that will be breaking all sorts of records. They set loose violent criminals while targeting patriotic parents at school board meetings. They dropped charges against Antifa and Hamas supporters while labeling traditional Catholics as domestic terrorists, the Catholics.
Oh.
We did very well with the Catholic vote, so I want to thank them for that. They really did.
Whatever happened with Pope Francis? I heard he was going to die. Is he good now?
I would say, what's with the Catholics? They're really after the Catholics, so I don't know. They were after a lot of people.
He's good now? Good.
Maybe they didn't even know why. They imported illegal alien murderers, drug dealers, and child predators from all over the world to come into our country while putting elderly Christians and pro-life activists on trial for singing hymns and for saying prayers. They went to jail for that. Our predecessors turned this Department of Justice into the Department of Injustice. But I stand before you today to declare that those days are over, and they are never going to come back. They're never coming back.
Now we're on script.
Never coming back.
So now, as the chief law enforcement officer in our country, I will insist upon and demand full and complete accountability for the wrongs and abuses that have occurred. The American people have given us a mandate like few people thought possible. We won every single swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of people. We won districts, 2,750. Think of that, 2,750 districts.
Think about it.
505. So we won it at levels that have, I don't believe, ever seen before. That's the one where you see the map of the United States, and it's all red. Red for Republican, not for communist. Red for Republican. They would like it to turn red for communists, but it didn't work out that way. The American people have given us a mandate and really a far-reaching investigation is what they are demanding into the corruption of our system. And That's exactly, I'm sure, what Pam and Cash and everyone else mentioned here and not mentioned is going to be doing.
Sure.
We will expel the rogue actors and corrupt forces from our government. We will
back on script.
Expose and very much expose
Back
their
on, all right.
egregious crimes and severe misconduct, which was levels
Off.
you've never seen.
Okay, now we're back
like
off.
It's going to be legendary. It's going to also be legendary for the people that are able to seek it out and bring justice.
I've watched
we
these
will
multiple
restore
times.
the scales
It's
of
so
justice
obvious,
in
right?
America, and we will ensure that such abuses never happen again in our country. And that's why on day one I signed an executive order banning all government censorship and directing the removal of every bureaucrat who conspired to attack free speech and many other things and values in America. My administration stripped the security clearances of the disgraced intelligence agents who lied about Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. We revoked the clearances of deranged Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, and the crooked law firms that aided their partisan persecution.
So he wrote that down?
And I went through it. These are
That's good.
State and city courts, and the corruption is unbelievable.
Off again.
We also terminated the
back on.
clearances of the Biden crime family and Joe Biden himself. He didn't deserve it. In fact, he was essentially found guilty, but they said he was incompetent, and therefore let's not find him guilty, I guess. Nobody knows what that ruling was, but I didn't want any part of it. I think I would have rather been found guilty than what they found with him. They said he didn't know what the hell he was doing, and therefore he's let him go. I said, you know, I'd rather be convicted, Pam, I think, than that. That was not good. I said, please convict me, don't say that. I pardoned hundreds of political prisoners who had been grossly mistreated. We removed the senior FBI officials who misdirected resources to send SWAT teams after grandmothers and J6 hostages. And it was a great honor for me to fire, I will tell you this. A great honor to fire James Comey.
Great honor?
Great honor.
There's no better day. A lot of people
No
said,
better
oh,
day.
that's too bad you did that. And they said that's going to be, and you know what? A year later, they said that actually saved the administration. Because the level of corrupt things that we learned after that turned out to be that they were doing, in fact, really bad things. He was a terrible person, did terrible things, and persecuted people. And all in the guise of being an angel, but he wasn't an angel. We created a brand new DOJ task force and anti-Christian bias. And under Director Patel, we're getting the FBI agents out of the headquarters in Washington, D.C., and back on the streets in pursuit of dangerous criminals where they belong and where they want to be. And, you know, you have that big FBI building, and it's a very big building, and they were going to build an FBI headquarters 3 hours away in Maryland.
This is
a liberal state, but that has no bearing on what I'm about to say.
By the way, we're off.
We're we're
off right now.
Not going to let that happen. We're going to build another big FBI building right where it is, which would have been the right place because the FBI and the DOJ have to be near each other. You can't That's one thing I did learn from this persecution. The FBI and the DOJ work together. Now, in my case, they work together for bad purposes, but they do. They were always together. So how can you have one that's 3 hours away? But one thing I said to Cash, well, we're going to get a great building built. It's going to be a magnificent building. He said, sir, we don't need that kind of room. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm just going to take a old Department of Commerce building that's about 25% the size, and that's what I need. We're going to have the best staff that you've ever seen, and that's what I need. It's in a nice location, but I don't need that big building. Why don't you just sell the site to somebody, and we're going to be very happy. And they want to have far fewer people, but we also want to have them in D.C., and if for no other reason, we like having law enforcement walking the streets of our capital.
Yeah.
Because when the bad guys are out there and they see there's an FBI agent, that's
true.
The ultimate in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And
those
they're
are the
not gonna be
elites.
acting so bad. We're cleaning up our city. We're cleaning up this great capital. And we're not going to have crime, and we're not going to stand for crime. And we're going to take the graffiti down, and we're already taking the tents down, and we're working with the administration, and if the administration can't do the job, we're going to have to take it back and run it through the federal government. But we hope the administration is going to be able. So far, they've been doing very well.
You're going to take it.
Doing a good job. We said there are tents galore right opposite the State Department. They have to come down, and they took them down right away. And so far, so good. But we want to have a capital that can be the talk of the world. When Prime Minister Modi of India, when the President of France, and all of these people, the head of Prime Minister of United Kingdom, they all came to see me over the last week and a half.
This is off script, by the way.
And when they come in, I had the route run.
Off script.
I didn't want to have them see tents. I didn't want to have them see graffiti. I didn't want to have them see broken barriers and potholes in the roads, and we had it looking beautiful. And we're going to do that for the city. And we're going to have a crime-free capital. When people come here, they're not going to be mugged or shot or raped. They're going to have a crime-free capital again. It's going to be cleaner and better and safer than it ever was, and it's not going to take us too long. There's a new phenomena that is taking place with these violent, vicious lawyers that we have all over. They play the ref. You know what playing the ref is? Like the great Bobby Knight basketball coach. He'd scream and scream at the ref.
Off
He'd
script,
scream.
by the way.
By the way, I love Bobby Knight because he endorsed me. And having Bobby Knight's endorsement in Indiana was an extremely good thing. A friend of mine said I was running in Indiana at the time. This was early on, 2016. And I was doing great. But a friend came up and said, "Do you know Bobby Knight?" I said, "No, I don't, but I hear he was a tough cookie." He said, "He's not only tough, he was beyond tough, but he's the most popular guy you can imagine." It turned out he wanted to endorse me. He called me about 2 years before. He said, "Sir, I'd like to endorse you." I said, "Is this really Bobby Knight?" He said, "It's me." I could tell it was Bobby Knight. He had been known for throwing the chair across the court and slapping a player. Can't do things like that, right? And the man that came in fired him. He was a new administrator for the college. That guy didn't last very long. They were like 14-0, and they fired Coach Knight. That was not good, but he had a little chip in his shoulder. But he loved Trump, and he came in, and he said, "I'd love to endorse you." He said, "If you ever run, please call me." So he said, "You know Bobby Knight?" I said, "Well, I don't know, but he called me a couple of years ago." It was an amazing phenomenon. I took his number, and on each side of my desk in New York, I had stacks of paper, like nice and neat, but about 2 feet high each. And I said, "You know, I wrote his number down and I put it here 2 years ago." And I said, "Let me see if I can find it." It was almost like a miracle. I had other miracles that happened too. My ear is still throbbing. That was a miracle. That was a miracle also, wasn't it? That was a miracle also. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Thank you, my man.
What'd I miss?
That was a miracle.
What'd I miss?
Okay, that's very nice. Thank you. But so he said, "Bobby Knight." So
assassination attempt?
I
Another one?
put his name down, and I wrote it down. It's in one of these stacks. I lifted up. There would have to be 2,000-3,000 pages in each stack. I lifted it up. The first one had no idea. And there was his name on a little card, Bobby Knight with his number. It was like incredible. I tell that story all the time. And I called him and dialed the number. He said, "I've been waiting for you to call." And he went out and he made a speech for me in a packed arena in Indiana, and it was over. It was over. He was a tough guy. He actually went a little far, you know. If you remember, he made a great speech because he was actually a motivational type guy, to put it mildly. But he left the stage, and then I'm talking, and he walks back onto the stage. I said, "Uh-oh, this is trouble. Why is he coming back?"
This
He's a
is
big guy,
trouble.
too. "Why is he coming back?" He said, "May I say a
What
few
does
more
this
words?"
have
I
to
said,
do-
"Yeah, go ahead, Bobby. Say a few more words." A little different.
Oh,
And he
God.
said, "And let me tell you something about this guy.
Off track now.
This guy, if he has to, will use the nuclear weapons that we have. He will use.
What the fuck?
He has no fear. He's going to use, and that's the kind of guy." And he walked
What
off
the
the stage.
fuck?
I said, I think I'm in big trouble, Pam." That was not good, but it worked out okay. In the meantime, we won the state in a landslide, and it was great, and it was just an amazing period.
Oh,
of time.
God. Is this
but
awesome?
this is the
What?
most amazing period of time. I think this is more
The
amazing.
fuck?
What's
even-
taking place
wow.
is more amazing. I think it's more consequential, and if we do the job, you know, one of the big media outlets said what we did was the most consequential election in the last 129 years. Well, if we do the job that we're all capable of doing, I think it's going to prove to be that and then some. And that's what we want to do. We have a real big shot at making this country so great, so great. What happened to our country was so sad. What they've done in 4 years to our country with the borders, with Afghanistan, the most embarrassing period of time, allowing the Russian situation, it was never going to happen with Ukraine, allowing October 7th to happen, would have never happened because under me, Iran was totally broke. They had no money. They weren't giving any money to Hamas or Hezbollah. It was totally broke. But allowing inflation,
would have never happened.
What inflation's done to people, been so devastating. And now you see that, by the way, price of eggs is down 35% in the last week and a half.
I did see that.
We're doing a good job. Brooke is doing a good job. Brooke Rollins and everybody.
The eggs have gone down in price. It's
and
true.
Inflation's down. Interest rates are down.
I saw a
Gasoline
graph
has
that
come
said it was true.
down to a level that we haven't seen in a long time. All things that we wanted to do, because then everything else is going to be coming down. We want it to come down. We want bacon to come down, and groceries, a term I used to use. It's sort of an old-fashioned term, but I used to use it on the
index.
On the campaign trail, those last 90 perfect, beautiful days. We just hit it. And I want to thank Susie. You have done a great job. Susie Wiles. Great job, Susie.
Man.
A big magazine just named her the most powerful woman in the world, and that's okay with me. She is the most powerful woman.
What happened to the bacon thing?
You think about it, John, right? The most powerful woman in the world, but she's great. And we had a great 90 days. It was a perfect 90 days, and it was a great result. But we want to put that result to good use by doing a phenomenal job.
We're past that?
I want to tell you that
what bacon
Todd
thing,
and
homie?
Emil know this very well. We had an amazing judge in Florida, and her name is Eileen Cannon, and I didn't know her. I still don't know her. I don't believe I ever spoke to her, even during the
Off
trial.
script again.
But I did appoint her, federal judge, and these fake lawyers, these horrible human beings, were hitting her so hard, public relations-wise. They were playing the ref. I don't think it's legal. I don't think it's legal. They might as well go out and just shout it in a courthouse. They were saying she was slow, she wasn't smart.
You're just moving on,
She was totally biased. She loved Trump. I didn't know her, other than I saw her the couple of days that I was in court, and I thought her decorum was amazing. Anything bad they could say, though, they were saying about her, it was whatever they could say bad about a human being, all made up. Because actually she was brilliant. She moved
on script.
quickly.
All right, back on
script. She
script.
was the absolute model of what a judge should be. And she was strong and tough. And how do you get them to stop if you're a judge? How do you get them to stop with the playing the ref? Bobby Knight would play the ref. That's why I brought up the Bobby Knight story. He would play the ref. He'd scream at the ref. He'd scream so hard. Oh, boy, it was terrible, actually. And the people would come up, his assistant coaches would come up to place. Coach, don't do that. Don't do it. He said he's not going to change his tune, Coach. He called it. He's not changing. I don't care. And he's screaming. That's when he threw the chair. He starts
What
going
the
crazy.
fuck? Is this Rocky now?
He's not going to change this time, but he's going to change
He's
the
not
next
gonna
play.
change Rocky.
And sure as hell he did. You know, Bobby, by the way, had the last undefeated team in basketball. And
Holy
speaking, you know, he had a
shit.
team. He always had a team. He never had
Bro.
He had a couple of great players, obviously, some top NBA players, but very few relatively. He had a team, but he won the national
rambling.
championship 3 times. But he had the last undefeated team in basketball. And he would play the ref, and he would scream at him. He knew exactly what he was doing. They're doing the same thing. He said, no, he's not going to change now, but he's going to change for the next one. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to scare the hell. They wanted to scare the hell out of the judges, and they do it. And how do you stop it if you're a judge? Because you want to go home, you have a family, you have children, and the New York Times will write whatever these people say, and the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal, and MSDNC, and the fake news CNN, and ABC, and CBS, and NBC, and they'll write whatever they say. And what do you do to get rid of it? You convict Trump. All you have to do is be really tough on him and ultimately convict him. and they leave you alone. It's totally illegal what they do.
Whatever happened with the
You
bacon?
can all watch for it, but it's totally illegal. And it was so unfair what they were doing to her. But they do it all the time with judges. But in her case, she was very courageous, and it only made her angry. Wouldn't you say? It just made her angry. She didn't like it. A lot of them say, oh, please don't say that about me. My family, what's my husband going to say? What's my wife going to say, or my kids? Please don't say that. And it had absolutely no impact on her. And the case against me, which was a case, I will not use a bad word. I promised my wife I would never use a bad word, so just a little bad. The case against me was bullshit. And she correctly dismissed it. She correctly.
Oh, Jesus.
She correctly.
Yo.
Look at Emil. He's looking. He said, that's interesting.
Oh, God.
But these two guys were warriors. You got a warrior here. You got two warriors, I can tell you that. You got a whole bunch of them. But, and they wouldn't quit. They wouldn't take no for an answer. They just wouldn't quit. These two people right up here, and some others that are involved with it indirectly. And what the lawyers do is they're doing it to the Supreme Court justices, hoping that they'll be overcome by the horrible things they say about them. They say things about Supreme Court justices and judges that are just horrible. They're playing the ref. Remember the way they treated Justice Thomas and Justice Alito and Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Gorsuch.
Yeah, they did. They were pretty hard on Kavanaugh.
Treated unbelievably badly, and they're hoping that they can sway them to go along because, again, what do? They're humans. You know, like it would be wonderful if everybody was just a perfect computer machine.
Everything's
But
computer.
They're humans. They don't want to be accused of many, many things, including gross incompetence. They don't like it, and they don't want it. There's not much they can do about it. You know, they're in a position they can't really fight back really very well. And so what they do is sometimes they get weak. I would say a majority, maybe, of the times. That's why I'm so impressed with Judge Cannon in Florida, how strong she was, how she held up. It actually made her more resolute than anything I've seen.
Which country are we going to annex today?
They were hitting her so hard. It was so sad to watch this. But it's sad what they do to other judges. It's very sad what they do to the Supreme Court. And a lot of the judges that
we're going to annex
I had,
Hawaii.
if you look at them, they take tremendous abuse in the New York Times and the Washington Post, all of the different networks. They take such abuse. And honestly, very simply, they're afraid of bad publicity. They don't want bad publicity. And it's truly interference, in my opinion, and it should be illegal, and it probably is illegal in some form. There's no difference than speaking to a judge or shouting to a judge or doing whatever you have to do in a courthouse. They're doing it behind the back. They're usually doing it anonymously. They're saying anonymously, off the record, the judge is no good, but everybody knows where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And it's totally coordinated. It's a campaign, and it's by the same scum that you have been dealing with for years, like guys like Andrew Weissman, deranged Jack Smith. There's a guy named Norm Eisen. I don't even know what he looks like. His name is Norm Eisen of Crew. He's been after me for 9 years. Now, Crew is a charitable organization. And
this is, by the way, it's off script again.
The reason I'm saying this, Todd, is I'm only going to get one chance to say this. But these are bad people. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he looks like. But everything I read is Norm Eisen of Crew. And Crew is a charitable organization. And that's a political thing. His sole life is to get Donald Trump, and he's been vicious and violent, and he's trying, and he probably had pretty good success over the years. But with me, how did he do? I think I'm president. Am I here because I'm president? But we had to take all of that abuse. Even during the trials, we had to take tremendous abuse. Like, you know, these wonderful guys, they're not legitimate people. They're
really impressive.
People. They're scum. And you have to know that.
Crazy.
And you're going to have these cases where you can't allow yourselves to be deflected. You just can't let it happen. You have such a higher calling. And I believe that CNN and MSDNC, who literally write 97.6% bad about me, are political arms of the Democrat Party. And in my opinion, they're really corrupt and they're illegal. What they do is illegal.
Yeah.
It makes no difference how big a victory I had. I can have the biggest victory in history.
It should be illegal.
It makes no difference what kind of a failure the other side has. These people are going to go after me. And I said it during the other night, during the big speech on Tuesday night. I said about Democrats, and I don't like that. I have great respect, by the way, for what Schumer did today. He went out and he said that I'm going to have to vote with the Republicans because it's the right thing to do. I couldn't believe what I heard. But, you know, I think he's going to get some credit for it. I think. Let's see what
he did get a lot of credit for it.
But
he sure did.
These networks and these newspapers are really no different than a highly paid political operative. And it has to stop. It has to be illegal. It's influencing judges, and it's really changing law, and it just cannot be legal. I don't believe it's legal. And they do it in total coordination with each other, and everything we do, we're restoring law, restoring order, and restoring public safety in America. That's what we want to do.
Great.
And we're bringing honor and integrity and accountability back to the highest levels of the FBI,
we're back on script.
DOJ, and throughout our government.
Back on script. Here we go.
We're bringing our country back faster than anyone ever thought possible. We're working so hard at doing it, and we want fairness in the courts. The courts are a big factor. The elections, which were totally rigged, are a big factor. We have to have honest elections. We have to have borders, and we have to have courts and law that's fair. Well, we're not going to have a country. Crooked Joe Biden got us into a real mess with Russia and everything else he did, frankly, but he didn't know about it, and he, generally speaking, signed it with auto pen. So how would he know? That auto pen is a big deal. I don't know. You know, they're having who's doing this? So when my people come up, Will and all of the people, Steve, they come up and, sir, this is an executive order. They explain it to me, and, you know, 90% of the time I sign it. 99% of the time I say do it. But they come up and I sign it. But you don't use auto pen. It's, number one, it's disrespectful to the office. Number two, maybe it's not even valid because, you know, who's getting him to sign? He had no idea what the hell he was
doing.
Was
sponsored by DocuSign. That's why he did it.
Happening right now. But we're going to get
Might
you back
void
into a
all
good
his
position.
fucking
We've already started. They say that we
signatures.
had the most successful first month of presidency. Not a long time, but it's still a lot. It's like if you're a golfer, sinking a 3-foot putt on the first hole gives you confidence to sink something on the second hole. But if you miss that first putt, you don't like to have the putt on the second hole and the third hole. It could be a very bad experience. It's nice to get that first month, and now we have more than a month. Now we have a month and a half, and it's going really, really well. I can tell you as a little secret, although the cameras are blazing back there, so it's not that much. But I think we're doing well, as you have been hearing about Ukraine. I think we're doing now well with Russia. We're speaking with President Putin. We want to get the war over. Not only have we spent maybe $350 billion to Europe's, think of that, $350 billion to $100 billion, and yet we're across the ocean far away, so it shouldn't have been that way, but Biden let that happen too.
Yep.
And we're getting a deal where we're going to get that back, but much more importantly are the lives that we're talking about. On average, 2,000 young people are being killed every single day. Now, they're not from here. They're from nowhere close to here, but they're young people. They're human beings, and they have parents. They have sisters and brothers, the mothers and fathers, the friends, and
former
families,
calm down.
The towns where they grew up.
Calm down.
And they're losing, on average, 2,000, even 2,500 a week. And I want to get it stopped. And we've had some very good calls today with Russia and with Ukraine. They've agreed for a ceasefire if we can get it with Russia. And it's not easy.
Oh.
It's a tough one. But I think we're doing it. And as the Secretary General said yesterday of NATO, a terrific guy, he said without Trump, we wouldn't be talking about it. It would just go on for years, and millions of people have been killed, but millions more people would be killed. And he said it was a great honor. Without me, it would just keep going on. We're looking for the ceasefire now with Russia, and we've had some very good talks about it. We've had some very good responses. And I can tell you that there was a case where there would have been no war if I were president. And it's just 100% would not have happened, would never have happened. I used to speak to President Putin a lot about it. I said, don't do it. Don't do it. I won't tell you what the consequence was. I won't tell you what he said. But if he believed even 5% of what I said, then he would say, I'm not going to do it. And I think he did. But we had a good relationship, and we had a professional relationship, and his respect for this country. And I think we've had some very good results. So, you know, I haven't been able to say that to anybody else. I haven't wanted to say it until just before I came here. I got some pretty good news. So, but we have to see what happens. It's still a long way to go. The fighting is unbelievable. Russia has a large group of Ukrainian soldiers, as we speak, surrounded and in grave danger.
Oh,
They've been able to surround them. They're in grave danger. Biden should have never let this war happen. First of all, you don't want to pick on somebody that's a lot larger than you, even with the money. There's a lot of money that we gave them and a lot of equipment. We make the best military equipment in the world, but even with all of that, it's unbelievable. Right now, you have a lot of Ukrainian soldiers that are in.
I heard they sold off the fucking equipment.
Ask them not to kill those soldiers, please. Not to
Don't
kill
kill
those
them.
soldiers.
All right.
We don't want them killed. It's such a shame to see what's happened. A thing like that would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Israel, Iran had no money. They were totally broke. Think of it. They had no money to give to anybody. They were totally broke. And within a short period of time, as soon as Biden came in, he took out all the sanctions. In China and everybody else that wasn't buying oil from Iran was buying it at levels that they never spent before. And it was a sad thing. And if you look at Afghanistan, that was probably what got Putin started, because when he looked at how horribly we looked, I think the most embarrassing day, not that we got out because we were getting out. I would have been out faster than them. I was the one that got it down to the right level. But we would have kept Bagram, the big Air Force base. We would have kept it. Right now, China occupies Bagram. And the reason we would have kept it is because they were 1 hour away from where China has and builds its nuclear missiles and weapons.
Speech when? No, he already did that.
They gave that up. At the dark of night, they left the lights on.
He already did that.
They left the dogs behind, by the way. A lot of people say, what about all the dogs? They had a lot of dogs.
Yeah.
And they left the dogs behind. And what a shame. What a shame. The way we got out, I think it was the most humiliating time in the history of our country. The way it happened, not that we were getting out, because we wanted to get out, but we would have gotten out with dignity and strength. And what a difference a rigged and crooked election had on our country when you think about it.
Who was that guy that just asked?
Who did this to us should go to jail.
Who was it that just asked?
So I just want to say God bless America, because we have to say God bless. We're lucky we're still here, frankly. And this whole thing could lead, I think we have it. I think we have it. But this could lead to World War III very easily. Could very easily lead to World War III, but I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yep.
A lot better than we were before we got involved, that I can tell you. That was heading into World War III territory, and that would have been a war like no other because of nuclear weapons and other types of weapons that people you don't even want to know about.
Fall asleep. I feel like,
but as many of you do know, well, we're focused on persecuting, and these people were really focused on persecuting Republicans. The last administration presided over the worst increase in violent crime in our country in many, many decades. We had levels of violence and crime, and a lot of it had to do with the illegal immigrants that came in. Remember when I used to complain about it? Because I knew how tough they were, how mean they were. And they said, no, people that come into our country are all wonderful people. No, they're not wonderful. These are stone-cold killers. These are killers they make our killers look nice by comparison. They make our killers look nice. These are rough, tough people with the tattoos all over their face. Historically speaking, I don't want to discriminate against anybody, but historically speaking, they're not going to be the head of any major bank that we know of. These are rough people. These are rough killer people, and they allow them in by the millions.
Our killers look nice.
In major cities like New York, Chicago,
we have
and
the good
Washington,
killers. They have the
mothers
bad
can't
ones.
walk their children to the park without fear of being shot or killed or raped or anything.
Oh,
Women
shit.
can't ride the subway without worrying that a hoodlum will shove them onto the train tracks.
A hoodlum?
In New York, it's happened twice in the last couple of weeks.
That's
They're
real
standing
bad.
there, perfect Wall Street
that's
gentleman in
crazy.
one case, and another person who was
I heard
a
about
worker, good worker, an electrician, gets pushed into a train going 45 miles an hour just prior to the train, not stopping, going to go through that. So I know the stations very well. I used to take the subway. I used to feel safe. When I was young, I'd go to my parents would drop me off at the subway. I'd take the subway to my school. Can you believe it? Today, they wouldn't be doing that. And we want to get a country back maybe where you can do that again, Pam.
Yeah, that's
But it's so
true.
sad to
Okay,
see
all right, I agree
what's
with that,
taking
yeah.
place under the Biden regime. Average
The year for that
monthly
was
homicides increased by
1894.
14%. Property crime rose tremendously.
college
Violent
then.
crime went up at least 37% that they know of. Rape soared by 42%. Car theft rose by 48%. And robberies surged to 63 to 100%. They don't even know what the number is. And I have no higher mission as President of the United States than to end this killing and stop this law-breaking and to making America safe again. And that's what you're all about in this room. We want to protect Americans, and we protect everybody that's in our country, American or not American. We want to have a safe and proud country. We're joined today by dozens of police officers, sheriffs and sheriff's deputies
Back on script.
from all across the country. My message to these law enforcement heroes is simple. With me in the White House, you once again have a president who will always have your back, will always have your back.
Great.
Thank you, Paul.
How can you talk so much with no break? No break, no
Thank you.
water. There's probably no script
That's a
here.
lot of good-looking people. I will tell you, I feel safe. I'm glad you're in the room. I feel even safer. It's a lot of great people. On day one, I signed an executive order directing Attorney General to ensure that anyone who murders a police officer immediately, with as fast a trial as we can have,
gonna
gets
kill him?
the death penalty.
Oh. We're gonna kill him. They'll shoot him out of like a cannon, maybe?
And last month, I fired all the radical left pro-crime U.S. attorneys appointed by Joe Biden. There were so many that were bad, and I know there were some that were probably very good, but there were so
Sleepy
many that
Joe.
were so bad and so evil, so corrupt. Instead of having Marxist prosecutors who want to put police officers in handcuffs and go after a police officer rather than a criminal, I appointed patriotic, tough-on-crime warriors who will partner with police to put dangerous offenders behind bars, put them in jail. We're fully reviving 1033 program to provide state and local law enforcement with surplus military equipment that we have so much of it. I did it in my last administration, and I remember Obama wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it before me, would not do it, because he thought it made them look too strong, too military. I said, no, that's what I want them to look like. I want them to look strong. And it was protective, defensive equipment. We had billions of dollars. I gave it out, and now I want to do it with Biden. And Biden didn't know why. I didn't, if they would have asked him, he wouldn't have been able to answer the question. He could never answer a question. They said my press conference yesterday was longer than all of Biden's press conferences put together for the last 4 years. And I don't know if that's true, but it was close.
Jesus.
And perhaps most importantly, we're
in.
securing our border and repelling the invasion of America. We have, you see the numbers have come down. So, and Tom Holman and Christie have been incredible.
Do you guys like
Christie
Sleepy Joe or Crooked Joe more?
Secretary, she's done great. And Tom Holman is, I don't know if Tom Holman's here, but wherever he may be, I think he's chasing people out of our country.
Sleepy Joe more.
If he was here, I'd almost be disappointed. What are you doing, Tom? But he's a fantastic guy, and he's a brave guy. Over the past 4 years, other countries emptied out their prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums, and sent the killers, drug smugglers, and bloodthirsty inmates from the filthiest dungeons of the world straight into the USA. And open border. We had an open border policy. Anybody could come in, no matter what you were, no matter where you came from, no matter what you looked like. No matter what you were doing, no matter what you did, no matter how many people you murdered, you could come right into our country. We have murderers right now walking the streets.
Oh, go
We're
get
joined
him.
today by Tammy Nobles, whose 20-year-old daughter, Kayla,
You gotta get him.
was attacked in her
Yeah, go
home
get
3
him.
years ago, horrifically assaulted and strangled to death by an illegal alien MS-13 monster set loose into our country
Holy
under
shit.
the open border Biden regime. Kayla was one of countless American victims ripped away from their families by the open border policies of that administration. And we're also joined by Kayla's stepfather, Jeremiah, and several other courageous angel families here today. And I'd love you to all just stand up and take a bow because you are incredible people. Please.
Man.
Thank you.
Man. Man.
Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you very much. Thank you. But I want you to know that we are working every day to expel these savages from our country and ensure that what
Do you think
happened to
Biden
your loved
watches any of
ones
this?
will never happen again. So their legacy is going to be a great one. Thank you
Yeah.
all very much.
Yeah, I think
Appreciate
he
it.
does.
On
I bet
day
he
one
does.
of my administration, I declared a national emergency on our southern border. In our first full month in office, we achieved the lowest level of illegal border crossings ever recorded.
That's a lot.
Even lower than 4 years ago.
Ooh.
For years, Democrats and the media kept saying that we needed new legislation. We had to have new
This is the new
legislation. We
president.
needed it immediately. And I
It's-
never
it's-
had legislation. I had the best border in the history of our country for almost
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
And by the time I got out, we had the lowest numbers ever. My favorite chart of all time was brought down that day. And on that chart said we had the lowest numbers ever. But it turned out that we really didn't need new legislation. All you needed was a new president. And I said that the other night. That's all you needed was a new president saying, close the borders, because the Border Patrol
Yeah.
is unbelievable, ICE is unbelievable, and all of our law enforcement is just incredible. All of you guys are amazing, and the people of our country respect you and they love you, and a lot of times you don't hear that because you have to listen to the fake news back there, but they have great respect for you, so I just want you to know that. And you know, that includes our fire departments, too.
Yeah.
They don't get spoken about enough. You know, they go into some of the areas I read where they're shooting them off
True.
ladders. Can you believe it? They go up to put out a fire, Leo, and they go and they shoot them off a ladder.
What, like Helm's Deep?
It's just unbelievable. These firemen
What?
and women are incredible. So I want to put them in the same category because they're just incredible. I also like that the fact they voted for me like at 94%. So I have to mention them. I have no choice, right? But the truth is they're phenomenal people. The law enforcement, fire, everybody, they're phenomenal. Basically first responders, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
They're first responders. And we're ending the migrant occupation of America. And what we're doing now is we're liberating our cities and our suburbs
Yeah.
and our towns. And you see a big difference. I'm getting calls all the time from even leaders of other countries
Wow.
saying, sir, the whole world feels liberated now. It feels like there's a light over America, but there's a light over the whole world. I hear that so much. It's so nice to hear, too. And I feel it. I mean, I feel it. I look at it. I see the polls. I don't know if the polls are right, but they're certainly very good. I'll take them right now.
For
It's,
sure.
amazing what's taken place in such a short period of time. Really 6 weeks, but it's longer than that. It's really November 5th. I think that hopefully will go down, if you do your job great, it'll go down as the most important day, one of them at least in the history of our country. You know, July 4th was pretty, 1776, it was pretty important too. But let's see if we can top it. Can we top it? I don't know. That's a tough one, but we're going to try. But it will be one of the most important days in the history of our country. So I think, and I think everybody in this room wants that to happen. Last month, we officially designated MS-13 and Trendiragua. That's the Venezuelan gang, the toughest gang, they
Campaigning
say,
for
in the
his
world,
third
and the
term?
Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That's a big deal. Nobody wanted to do that in the past. And by the way, we've caught hundreds of them, the Venezuelan gang, which is as bad as it gets. And you'll be reading a lot of stories tomorrow about what we've done with them. And you'll be very impressed, and you'll feel a lot safer, too, because they are a vicious group. They went into Colorado. They took over areas of Colorado. They sort of were like me. They were in the real estate business, but they didn't go out and get financing. They just took over a building and kept it. And they said to the tenants, get the hell out of here. One man called the police and they cut off his fingers. And they say, you call again, your other fingers, and you call a third time and you're dead. These are tough people and bad people, and we're getting them out of our country. And some are so bad, we don't want to get them out. We have to put them in jail because we don't want to even take a chance that they can come back. Thanks to our efforts, Mexico recently handed over 29 of the biggest cartel leaders, including the depraved kingpin charged with the 1985 murder of DE agent Kiki Camarena. And that was a big deal, if you know. They've been looking for this person for years, many years.
Going to Guantanamo Bay, yeah.
This evil killer will be now prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And we know that, well, it's, let's put it this way, I have to be nice. It's a very strong case. We're stopping the criminals pouring across our borders at record levels, and we're also stopping the massive quantities of deadly drugs. In 2023 alone, drug overdoses killed more Americans in 12 months than they did during the entire decade between 1980 and 1990, so 10 times more, but it's much higher than that. More Americans died from fentanyl last year than died in the Korean War, or the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, all of them combined.
What the fuck?
That's why I've placed large tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, and they will remain in place until these deadly poisons stop pouring into our country. And I will tell you, as soon as I put on the tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, unbelievable results have been seen in the last few weeks. Unbelievable results.
There's no
they weren't
shot,
happy
right?
about it. You probably read they weren't happy, but they are working like hell to end it. They weren't working very hard before I did that. With us today is a brave mother and advocate, Ann Fundner, who lost her beautiful 15-year-old son, Weston, to fentanyl.
They got a lot of junkies,
And
yeah.
Ann, if you would, I'd like to ask you to come up and say a few words, please. Thank you.
Here we go. I look into it. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true, man. That sounds crazy. You didn't know? Yes, it's more. I didn't know. Why does that surprise you? I don't know. I mean, I just thought it would be a lot. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay. All right. She going to go and talk about this? Let's go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, first, I want to say thank you. I think this is the biggest honor of my entire life, being on stage with President Trump. But I want to tell you a little bit about my son, Weston, who absolutely loved President Trump. He had a beautiful Trump 2020 flag hanging in his bedroom, and he had it on the beach one day, and we took a picture, and it became our 2020 Christmas card with the most perfect slogan for President Trump: peace on earth. What would happen in the next 4 years would be devastational to our country and our safety of our children. And in 2022, Weston lost his life, a freshman in high school at the age of 15, from a single pill that took his life. The cartels were allowed to operate on American soil and took hundreds of thousands of American lives. And so we knew there was only one person that could save us from the devastation
Who could it be?
on our American soil.
Is it
and that
Trump?
was President Trump. And so in
Got it.
2024,
That's what I thought.
we did the best thing that we could do to keep America safe again. And we elected President Donald J. Trump.
Some guy said George.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And he's done everything that he has promised. We have a 98% decrease in border crossings.
That's a lot less.
And he has labeled the terrorist cartels terrorist organizations. And he has instilled tariffs because there is no price on human life. And so I feel like I can speak for the entire fentanyl fighting community when I say thank you to President Trump. And thank you to Pam Bondi and everyone out here who is fighting this fight. God bless you. God bless you, President Trump. And God bless America. Thank you.
Nice.
He's up there watching you.
He's up there watching you.
It was a good speech.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Yep.
Thank you, Ann, very much. Weston is, I just said to Ann, Weston is up in heaven watching his mom, and he's so proud of you. He's so proud of you. Thank you. We're also joined today by a number of other American families who have lost loved ones to fentanyl, and I'd love you to just stand up for a second, and we want to acknowledge you, and also your daughters, your sons. They're looking down on you, and they're loving you like crazy. So thank you very much.
That was unpredictable. Yeah, I didn't expect him to do that.
Thank you.
Back on the script.
Thank
just
you.
a little bit.
This department will not rest until we have ended the fentanyl epidemic in America once and for all. In less than 2 months since I took office, the DEA and FBI have seized nearly 1 million deadly doses of fentanyl, and that's just the beginning.
Fentanyl is bad. Can we get an L in the chat for fentanyl?
At my direction and working with Pam and everybody else, we've launched an all-out war on fentanyl traffickers. And
yeah, true.
It's a war that we're going to win. We're going to win this war. I spoke with the president of Mexico, very nice woman, very fine woman, and I said, let me ask you, you're sending a lot of drugs into our country. We're not liking it at all. Can't do that.
Yeah, that would be bad.
But I said, is Mexico, does it have much of a drug? She said, no, we're not a consuming nation. I thought it was an interesting term. And I said, why? And which I've heard also, by the way, they're not a consuming nation.
What does that mean?
They distribute, but they don't consume. But I said, why are you not a consumer? Well, we're very close with family. I said, so we're very close with family, too. I mean, our families are being devastated, and we're just as close. Why else? She said, well, we spend a lot of money on advertising saying how bad drugs are. They're very rough ads. They show the skin falling off and the teeth falling out and going blind and losing hair and everything that these things do. You look
I've
like
never
you just
done
came
fentanyl,
out of
guys.
a horrible concentration camp.
I never have.
Bet
She
on the
said it was,
fent.
they're rough ads. And
before
it's
you bring
not
it
often
up,
that I feel I've learned something from a phone call, because I've had a lot of phone calls over my life. But I realized right then and there what a great idea that is. And we have hired Susie, a great person who did a lot of our campaign work. And we've come up with an advertising campaign that's, I think, really incredible. More than anything else, it's terrible to watch. Terrible to watch. It's the only way it's going to work. And I would be, because we got the numbers down, 18% would have a blue ribbon committee headed by the First Lady of the United States, who everyone loves, and some of her friends. And, you know, they work so hard, but it's a tough deal. They're dealing with very smart and very vicious people. You know, some of those businesses, those cartels are run better than any business in America. They say they're run incredibly, not just here. They all over the world. They're run like a major business, but in many cases better. And I said, we got it 18% down. Well, 18% is incredible. It's like a record. But when you think of it, it's not very much. And the way you get it down, if you want to get it down to close to 100%, is with the death penalty. But I think maybe America is not ready for that. China has a death penalty. Singapore has a death penalty. Various places have the death penalty. Wherever you have the death penalty, you don't have drugs. But I just don't know if this country is ready for it. So I tell people, and it's always an option, but I don't know. I just don't know if you're ready for it, and that's okay. It's nothing you can do. But what we're going to do is we're doing this campaign.
People will be okay with it.
And I think we can get it down 50% with this campaign, because when people see all the horrible things that these drugs do
Wait, a new campaign?
We're especially focused on fentanyl. When they see all of the horrible things that happen when you take drugs, how you look, you lose your look. Everyone's vain. They don't want to lose their look. The look is so important. And I think when they see these things, they may say, you know what, I'm going to take a pass. But there is big danger. Pam and I were talking about it before. A lot of people are taking fentanyl and not even knowing. They think they're doing something else, or maybe taking another drug, but at a much lower level. And they die. You can put on the pin, think of this, the head of a pin, fentanyl, and it's too much, and it will kill the strongest person in the room. And
what the fuck?
It's amazing. But we're going to do this campaign. It's going to be launched fairly soon, Susie. And I think it's going to have a big impact. I think if we got it down by another 30, 35 points, and I really believe we can. I think that's an incredible idea. So I thank the president of Mexico. Actually, it was a call on tariffs, and we talked about drugs. And she gave me an idea that I think will be very successful. And based on what I saw, it's going to be amazing. Under our leadership, this department is once again laser focused on protecting the American people. We're defending our borders, our streets, our children, and our good, really God-given, this is God-given rights and liberties once and for all. We're going to defend our country, and we're going to defend our rights. Etched onto the walls of this building are the words English philosopher John Locke said, "Where law ends, tyranny begins." And I see that, and I saw it over the last 4 years when somebody was allowed to attack viciously with this department and the FBI, his political opponent. How did that work out? Didn't work out too well, but it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant. I was attacked by a political opponent, and probably it helped that I was attacked more than anybody in the history of our country. Alphonse Capone, the great Alphonse Capone, legendary, Scarface, was attacked only a tiny fraction of what Trump was attacked.
Called Scarface great.
And maybe it worked out well. I don't know. If I had to give it up, I probably wouldn't, but only because I've gone through it. But I wonder what the difference would be. Maybe they helped get me elected by those margins, the big margins, the big mandate that we received. But you can't go after your political opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, actually. And hopefully they won't see anything like it. But now with the return of law and order, the entire world is witnessing the triumph of American justice and American freedom. That's why we're here today, gathered with people that have love for our country. In the coming years, we will revive the storied legacy of this department, and it's happening right now. You can feel it. And rekindle the spirit of the great lawmen and legal lions of the past, Americans like Wyatt Earp, Elliot Ness, Frank Hammer, Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani had to suffer greatly, greatly. The greatest mayor in the history of our country had to suffer greatly. Ed Meese, Antonin Scalia, Robert Jackson, and Robert F. Kennedy.
I was going to show the picture of it.
We will rebuild pride in our institutions. We will restore the prestige of this great department, and we will bring back faith in our justice system for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. And I want to just tell you that this has been a great honor. I was asked to do it, and I said, is it appropriate that I do it? And then I realized it's not only appropriate, I think it's really important. And I may never do it again. I may never have another chance to do it again, because this is something that I'm leaving to the greatest people I know, the best people, the smartest people, the toughest people I know. And they're going to do an incredible job. And it's an honor for me to have won this election so that I can appoint these people to do their job, and they're going to do it like you have never seen. So I just want to wish all of you good luck. It's going to be an interesting journey. Not going to be easy, but you're going to win. You're going to win, 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 and fight, 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 and it's going to end up being a tremendous result for this country. So thank you all very much. God bless America. God bless you all. Thank you.
No.
No way. They're going to play the YMCA. Jeez. How you gonna end it like that?
Oh, shit. Oh, wow. Jesus.
Holy shit.
At the Department of Justice.
Wow.
This was a long-awaited speech, and so we've been promising that we're going to bring it to you here on Alive Now from Vox for the last few hours. But again, during that speech, talking about a myriad of things, but still focusing a lot on fentanyl and what his administration...
Man, like, that was... But I feel like that was a... He really just kind of let go.
Yeah, kinda. A little bit.
He was bringing up about like a conversation that he had with a basketball coach, and like how many times the basketball like, damn, man. And then you don't get embarrassed by him? Why would I get embarrassed? Like, I didn't, like, I didn't, I'm not doing it. It's him doing it. Yeah, like, that's, I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I think it's funny. Like, I do. I think it's funny. Like,
I want to begin, but among other things, everyone's attacking you for your position. What are you doing in the government? There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced. Yes. It's a big story. You want to give it?
All right, I think I'm ready. I'll alter my appearance. going on? Oh yeah, okay. I do want to change the hair. I did this. Brown, I want it black. Do this.
Okay, this should be about as simple as it gets. The store knows you're en route. As soon as they confirm receipt of the parts, they'll release the funds. Standard disclaimers apply. In the event that you're intercepted, everyone you've ever known will deny all knowledge of your actions. I have a duty to warn you about the potential for bad actors to have tracked this shipment, blah, blah, blah.
Fucker. The fuck? You like it? it is.
Who is this?
Vote for you. I've never heard of you. Why do you keep calling me? Bored? I'm just resort to simple acts of violence.
Nobody's messing with you once you get that.
Guess that is better. Drop that kind of cash.
God bless America. Oh, sorry about the smell. Spilled a gallon of deer urine. I can tell we are going to get along famously.
You calling for some wheels? I'm Johnny on the spot. I'll hook you up. It's on the way.
I can't wait to show you my fixed gear bike.
Hey, bud. What's good? Ah, shit, no. I missed Faber Shane. My vintage 93 TV totally kicked the bucket.
to leave my bike alone. Any day now. Well, let's see what we can do, because I don't think this is gonna load. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna call it here, guys. Might as well. We'll be back on tomorrow. Reflex is getting his shit together, so we'll be back with the best. Don't you fucking worry, mate. It's gonna be even better. I will catch y'all tomorrow. I hope you have a good night. Enjoy yourself. So take her easy.